Yup, you in a Mirrorz, so pay attention. A closed mouth don't get fed, but an open one can get played too. This mirror talk is gonna be exactly what it sounds like. It's important for you to speak up when you need things, right? It's times where everybody need help, no matter what it is. It could be something as simple as you trying to go fishing and you out at the park doing it wrong, and somebody walking by seeing you doing it wrong, and they just so happen to offer you some advice or some game that help you get it together. And you having a closed mind can cause you to miss out on the knowledge and the intellect you could have gained just from being quiet and letting them show you. Or more so over, it's even situations where you could know you need help, but your pride or sometimes just your own negative thinking, it gets you in the way of getting the help that you could have if you just asked. So to give a live example, right? It was a recent situation I was in where I was in the process of needing a new battery for my car, right? How I figured this out, you may wonder. I figured this out because I tried to get in a car and start it, and it didn't start. So instead of spiraling about it, I kind of looked around trying to figure out if there was anybody nearby that I could ask to give me a jump. But I wasn't depending on it. So the first person I asked, they thought they had their jump box with them, but they didn't. They forgot it. So even though they had the intention to help, they wasn't able to help, but I still appreciated it, and I told them that. But nonetheless, they wasn't able to help me right in this moment that all of this was going on. There was somebody else that was also out there at the time, right? But my mindset already done got locked in, and you know what, bro? Bump it. I'm just gonna push it. Because when you've been in so many situations where you've depended on people or relied on somebody to come through and they didn't come through, you start getting to a point where you rather take the hard route. Even if it's the hard route, you rather take the hard route than ask them and depend on them and hold your breath hoping they actually come through for you. So you end up saying, you know what? I'll just do what I gotta do. I'll thug it out, you know? Do whatever I gotta do to just get to the other side by myself, so I ain't gotta ask nobody for nothing. Ain't gotta feel like I'm bothering nobody for nothing. So that's my mindset. I'm just gonna push it. So as I'm pushing it, right? Literally pushing it. I'm putting it in neutral, I'm pushing it out to the parking lot. I knew I ain't had nowhere far to go, but a car is still a car. Shit happened. The person that I could have also asked the other person, they had asked me, they was like, bro, you good? Mind you, me, I'm so locked into my mind of, bro, nah, I'm just gonna push it, bro. I ain't even gonna wait on nobody, depend on nobody to help me. Like, I don't got time. The longer I sit here trying to get somebody to help me, the longer it's gonna take me when I could have just been pushed my shit home. So I had to pull myself out of the mindset, the tunnel vision I had already locked myself into, to understand this person was trying to help. So rather than me being prideful or being so anxious to do shit the way that I had decided previously in my mind, I just let them help. So when they asked, is you good? I said, nah. They said, will it start? I said, yeah, the battery just dead. They said they had cables. They gave me the jump. I got my car started. So that's a perfect example of what I mean when I say a closed mouth won't get you fed. Because you, the person who know that you need what it is that you need, nobody else knows that. Nobody else is feeling what you feeling but you. You know? So you the one that's responsible for making sure that you speak up when something is going on or when you need something. Is anybody else required to do it for you? No. But if there is somebody that's willing to help, you will not know if you don't say shit. But that also rolls me into my next point. Just because you speak up about what you need don't mean that you're gonna get help from other people with what you need. Sometimes you might just be venting and letting people know that you're struggling just so they can be aware that you're struggling. Like, you could low-key sometimes be letting them know for nothing. So you gotta know how to decipher the difference between somebody who's willing to help, you just gotta speak up and say something, versus somebody who not trying to help, but they willing to get in your business though, so they can know what you got going on, and they can know like, oh, okay, damn, bro, fucked up right now, you going through it, okay. You gotta know the difference between somebody who cares and somebody who just likes to spectate and watching. Okay, let me see how bro doing. Oh, yo, you struggling? Oh, okay. They don't actually care, bro. They just spectating, like they just like to see. And then when you make it over that hump, then it's gonna be, oh, I always believed in it. How'd you always believe? And like I said, this ain't got nothing to do with trying to sit here and be worried about what the next person gotta be counting nobody's pockets. It ain't got nothing to do with that. It's the principle of knowing the difference of who genuinely rocking with you and who not. Because sometimes somebody's situations just might not allow them to be able to help you. So you can't crucify somebody who would if they could. But at the same time, be aware of the ones who can and just choose not to. You understand? You have to know the difference. Because you'll waste a lot of energy and a lot of time on people and doing things that are not serving you and not helping you and don't care about you the way you may think that they care about you. And again, that's not to confuse somebody who would but just can't right now. And that's also not to confuse you expecting anything out of anybody. But if you know that you got the heart where you would if you could, and then you're around a bunch of people who can and they choose not to, why are you in that circle? Why are you dealing with it? Because it's not about expecting. It's about, you know, if the roles were reversed, you wouldn't let that happen. You wouldn't let that go that way. You would do something about it. However little or much that something would be, right? So I say that to say, know the difference. And understand it's people who care, and then it's people who just gonna talk like they care. It's people who gonna show you they support. There's gonna be people who talk like they support. Then there's gonna be people who might talk like they support, but then be talking about you and you not present. So like I said, you gotta pay attention to the games, because they definitely always getting played. You just gotta know the difference between who playing them and who just straight up just ain't got what you asking for. Because like I said, it ain't about crucifying nobody for anybody's things. It's about knowing when you know you would help, you knowing you would do A, B, and C, you feel me? So that's the reason why I say a closed mouth. You know? Because you definitely not going to get far if you need and you sitting back just not saying nothing. But at the same time, you could also waste time asking when you could have just been putting that together yourself, rather than wasting time waiting on somebody to come save you. You got to protect your energy. Because one thing about it, when you the one who need it and they the one who don't need it, it's gonna always be so much easier for them to play with you and let you down. You know why? Because they not the ones who hurting for it. They not the ones who need that. So what you asking for that you may feel like, damn, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do if I don't get this. They don't feel that pressure. You can't put that on them and feel some type of way, because they don't. But at the same time, you just have to be aware of the difference between the two, of what I spoke on. Sometimes the situation is you just need to speak on the fact that you need help, and help will come. Because some people, they can and they willing. You just have to say something. And then there's people who aren't willing and can. They just don't want to. And you can't be mad at them for that. But you can remember that. So like I said, a closed mouth don't get fed, but open ones get played too. Stay in the mirror.